Hello, everyone. George DeSantis here with a look at the market for week ending Friday, June 20th, 2020. And as usual, before we go any further, bring up a disclaimer here, ask you to take a look at it, and simply realize that I'm not trying to give any particular person investment advice. I am reviewing the market for my own purposes, make a video, anyone can look at it and take from it whatever they will. So we're going to start off as usual by looking at the weekly chart of the S&P 500. So here's a weekly chart of the S&P 500, the one we usually look at. And first we're going to take a look at some of the bullish indications, and then we'll see if there are any bearish indications. And there are a few. So the first thing we'll notice here is that the 4 exponential moving average, this yellow line, is above the 9 exponential moving average, the red line, and that is above the 30 weighted moving average, this green line. So insofar as those 3 primary moving averages are concerned, we still have an uptrend in effect here on the weekly chart. We should note that this magenta line here, this fine magenta line, that's the 50-day moving average. And we are also closing above that 50-day moving average. In this case, a 50-week or 50 period, right? So that's bullish. Now, insofar as MACD histogram, both of these histograms are in bullish territory, and also the Williams percentile with a 30 period, which I use, and since it turned bullish here, it's remained like that. Now, the sum of the rate of change indicator is fluctuating, meandering above and below this 4% line. And so it's not giving any clear indication of whether it's indicating uptrend or downtrend. So those are the bullish indications. The bearish things that I'm seeing here is this bearish engulfing candlestick. You see this red candle body here totally engulfs this green bullish candlestick, body of the candlestick here. So that's bearish. And then you see on Friday we had this, we gave back some on Friday, and we had this this smaller candle here. Now the other thing that looks potentially bearish is the fact that the price bar, the shadow at the bottom, is seemingly hitting that parabolic right now. That's problematic, because if it goes above the next bar, next week's bar, it will be signaling a downtrend, and that hasn't been the case since back here. So we keep an eye on that. That's the weekly chart. But it seems to me the preponderance of evidence is that we still have an uptrend, and I'll stick with that. Now let's look at the daily chart. Now on this daily chart of the S&P, see a little more bearishness on this chart, somewhat more bearishness. First of all, let's look at the bullish scenario first. We see that the 4 is just riding along the 9 EMA. So there's nothing definitive here in terms of the moving averages. It's riding along the 9. They're close, almost on top of each other. But the 9 is above the 30, and basically this approach that I use is called the 930 approach, 930 system. When the 9 is above the 30, the primary trend, for me anyway, is up. So I'm saying there is that bullishness still, that the trend is still up insofar as the moving averages are concerned. Parabolic also below the most recent bars. So that's also bullish, because it's saying we still have an uptrend. All right. Now, insofar as the other bullishness is concerned, Williams percentile is above the 50% line, the magenta line. That's bullish. And also the sum of the rate of change indicator is above the 4% line. Now for the bearishness, we see we have a bearish engulfing candle here, just like we saw on the weekly chart. This candle on Friday totally engulfs this candle here, the body of the candle totally engulfs this one, and so there's a bearish engulfing candle. The other sign of bearishness is the MACD histogram. MACD histogram in 1939-9 gave a sell signal here, way back here, and it's become even more pronounced. So that's concerning. And also the other MACD with the other parameters, the default parameters, 12, 26, 9, it's also in bearish territory. So you do have a real kind of a little struggle going on between the bears and the bulls here, and we'll have to see how it resolves itself. But I wouldn't be surprised to see a little bit more of a pullback here. Maybe testing the let's see, maybe testing this low here, something like that. So we'll find out. Now you might recall that during the week I sent you a video done by Larry Williams. He discussed indicators, and he identified 6 types of indicators that he looks for. And I won't go through all of them, but what I did was try to plot as many of them on this chart that I can. And so we could take a look at the market using the type of indicators he would use, First of all, he wants an indication of the trend, or we can, safely say that we have moving averages here showing us the trend. And then he looks for a counter trend for triggers, so that when a counter trend indicator, which is what he uses, his percent R 14 period for. So when you have an uptrend, the way he uses it, you have an uptrend and market pulls back and the indicator spikes down like this. That's your buy signal. That's your trigger to get into the market at this point. You see another one here recently. Okay, so the fact is that we have an uptrend still, and we got a spike down, and since then though we got a lower high. So that's why I'm saying that we might see a pullback here, and if we get a pullback, I'm looking for a pullback no further than the 2968 area. This magenta line here is where I would say a pullback might take us to. Maximum pullback, okay? Let's take a look at a few charts on stockcharts.com. We'll move through these very quickly. This is a chart of Apple, and you can see that Apple has really seemingly topped out here. You see it made a high here, came down, went back up, sort of a double top, and Apple had a pullback on Friday, I believe. So here's a chart of the new high, new low index. Remember, we had that big spike down in March, and since then we went back up, broke past that minus 4,000, and the trend continues to be very nice, and it's holding. So this is quite interesting, bullish for the new high, new low index telling us so. Here's a chart of the S&P with the impulse indicator that Alex developed, and you can see we had some green bars, and then we got a blue bar now. The blue bar tells us that we can go either long or short. We are allowed to go either long or short. But given that the weekly chart, this is a daily, given that the weekly chart still looks pretty bullish, I wouldn't want to short it here. And here's our chart of the the percentage of stocks of the S&P 100 above the 200-day moving average. You can see that since we spiked down here, it's now moved back up. We'd like to see it stay above 50, so it's pretty close, but no cigar. Anyway, we'd like to see that move continue higher, but it's not there yet, above 50. So let's turn to Shaken Analytics and take a look at some individual stocks and ETFs. What I did was select some stocks that meet those criteria that would give us mostly green on the screen here. And we'll go through a few of them particularly and see what they look like. So Adobe is the first one, and these stocks are rated from top to bottom, from best to worst, So Adobe is rated very highly. And I have found in the past that when a stock is at the top of many of these lists, that's the time to own them. I made some good money with Cadence Design, CDNS, by noticing that and buying it. Anyway, so here's Adobe. It's neutral because it ticked down and now it's ticking back up. Didn't quite get overbought, but you have a momentum breakout. I'm not familiar with many of these stocks. I'll point out the ones I own. This one is rated optimal because you see the overbought indicator came down and ticked up. That's when you get the optimal rating, and everything else is green. I'm not saying that we should rush out and buy all these. We can't anyway. We don't have enough money to do that, and it will be foolhardy. But I'm just showing you what the ratings are, and you decide. Here's another one that is optimally rated because you could see it tick down overbought, and now it's ticking up. We're going to find quite a few of them here. Optimal again, and that's MEIP. You could take note as I'm talking. And you see it sort of changes personality. Relative strength became stronger here. These are at the top of the list. Another optimal one, tick down and is ticking up. It was down a little bit on Friday, but it's actually ticking up here now. I'm not familiar with most of these. See, there's another one here is healthcare provider, the Providence Service or whatever. So you see tick down is ticking up. It ran up here after earnings, and then it consolidated, and now it's on the move up again. Keep an eye on the time. Here's one that is early because you see it hasn't ticked up yet. The overbought oversold indicator hasn't turned up. So that's why they rate it early. But everything else is green. Is green on the screen, baby. Here's another optimal one. So make note of these. I would make note of some of these. This one is optimal. It's got all the green on the screen. It's a software company. The Qs are up. Whoops, the Qs don't give us a rating because there are no earnings and all that, you know. So you see, but it's. I wanted to show you because it's close to the overbought region, and it seemed to be ticking up again. So that would be a good indication for the rest of the market. We were talking about the general market. If the Nasdaq leads the general market, then this is a good indication that, you know, we may have done all the giving back as we should for now. So we'll see. Here's another one. We can put the checklist up. Optimal. And you can see how the relative strength ticked up here. And although money flow was a little weak, it's now become positive. Here's an ETF of IPOs. It's run by Renaissance, and boy, did it have a run up here. Oh, I don't know if this is a place to buy it, but it keeps working. Keeps working. Here's another one that is optimal, I think. I could tell, yes, because you see it came down overboard, ticking up. So I'm just showing you some of these. I'll tell you that I own some of them. I own, let's see, I own Microsoft. I own this one, Novavax. I own NVIDIA. Okay, you can see NVIDIA is optimal. Now is the time to buy NVIDIA, it seems. Okay, optimal. I own Facebook. I bought Facebook again recently. You see, it became overbought and then it started ticking up again. So Facebook I bought. I have PayPal and I sold some covered calls on it. And I also own Tesla, of course. I have a nice big gain in Tesla. But then I sold the 1,100 covered calls for a nice premium, $65 a share. So that's like $26,000 on 400 shares. That's a beauty. Anyways, what I want to do now is go to the health check on this list, and you'll see something interesting. See, it's saying here bullish on NVAX, ANAB, and MEIP. But let me go down here and show you this thing. See, it shows all these stocks here are indicated very, bullish or very bullish in different sectors, right? And they're all in this quadrant here that says they could be bought. Okay, and look at all these down here too. All of them were up last week. See the prices indicating the percentages up. So I think we're gonna have to call it a night here and have a good week and make some serious walking around money. Let's hope that the market doesn't give back too much. Thank you for listening.